All right, everybody, welcome back to Palm Tree Life. We are getting into kind of the end game, at least the end of the game we're playing, to show you how to do each of these different things, and the end of the beginner's guide. But I do want to get to two specific things. The first is we're going to have to deal with succession, so I want to make sure I show you when your player heir, or whoever you start the game with, dies, how that succession takes place and what that can look like. And then I also want to show moving into the feudal era, because that's really key. If you start off in the tribal government, when you switch to feudal, you have to be prepared for some of the adjustments that are there. So it's going to take a while to get there, so I'm going to jump in and out of the game. If something happens along the way, I'll explain it, but otherwise I'll just keep moving. And I'm sure down in the notes for the video there will be chapters that you can just click to and get to wherever you need to watch what you need to. But thanks again for being here to be a part of this beginner's guide. Before I really even start pursuing anything, I could go for getting the Empire of Mali, and I might see if that's a possibility, but it's not going to be the goal, because I'm just going to explain how you would do that now, because it's not complicated. It just changes how your succession would happen, but it's not complicated. So if you go in here and you click on my primary title, which is the Kingdom of Mali, you can see that it's the de jure part of the Empire of Mali. Okay, so there's the Empire of Mali. And if I want to create this, it's not yet created. If I want to create it, I need 61 de jure counties in here, and it's telling me I have 40, so I would need 21 more. It is possible I could do that in my lifetime. That is possible. But I want to make sure that I'm pursuing the game that helps you the most. I don't want to pursue a game that is just showing you big achievements, at least ones that I think are fairly understandable. And if you pay 500 gold coins, you can get 500 prestige. You click create the title and it creates it. And then what changes if you create it is in your succession. All right, so right now my oldest son gets my primary title, my second son would get the second best title, which is the Kingdom of Ghana, and my third son gets the third best title, which is the Kingdom of Jen. And what would happen is, if I become the Emperor of Mali, if I wouldn't get to create the empire title, these are going to all be separate kingdoms. So when succession happens, it's going to look like this. They're going to have their own kingdoms out here, and we're going to be 3 separate kingdoms. I will not be ruling over them. If I can get that empire title, then even though they still got the Gen title, they still got the Ghana title, it'll look more like this, where I'll be over all of it, but I will have handed kingdoms inside of my empire off to them. So that's the difference. That's the big difference. If I can get that title, great, but I'm not really trying to go for it. I'm trying to explain how succession works, and I'm trying to explain how to move into the feudal era, setting yourself up well. So just so you know as we move forward. All right, so we have got the innovation ledger, so it put my domain limit up to 7 with my current player character. Currency, we have 16 years left. I'm gonna add my exposure and my innovation exposure into this, and we're gonna send it to 7 years. So we should be able to get 2 innovations done in my lifetime. And I would say that mustering grounds is another good one to get more men-at-arms and to get larger amounts of men-at-arms. When you get into battles and you start getting into war, especially if you're in an area of the world where you're going to be fighting a lot more, and you may not be as big, you may not be the big brother in town like Ghana starts off, you're going to probably want to pay more attention to an innovation like this. I did want to show, I just got another learning trait in my education lifestyle, and I got Know Thyself. And so When death of natural causes is 1 year away, you will receive a warning. And so if you get killed in battle, obviously this isn't true, but if you're going to just die of natural causes, if you go down this path, doing the know thyself lets you know 1 year in advance that it's going to happen. So in this case, because I'm planning for succession and things like that, and handing off a kingdom, or can I get to the empire quick enough, this gives me a 1 year heads up that a year from that date I'm going to die. And so that gives you a little bit of time to set your kingdom up how you want to before you actually do die. Just something to think through. It's one of those, I think in every tree, that's in any trait, there's little things like that if you pay attention to, you can go really far quickly. I wanted to show you something. As you expand and as you get a lot of vassals, and as your vassals are able to be powerful and go conquer things themselves, or they see a weak moment in somebody else and they go after them, I want you to catch that. So like here, my high chieftain Abobo, he went down here and attacked and took this title of Lobi. Okay, and so it is not in the de jure of Mali, but he went and did that himself. And this guy up here did it too, of Tangent or Tagent. He went up here and he took some more land. So he can do that. I mean, you can give permission. As you get into the feudal age, you can control that a little bit more, but your tribal leaders, they're going to go do some of that stuff. We've got a guy here, this guy that we handed it off to early on in Timbuktu. He's going up here and he's taking more land up in here. That's going to happen. You're going to naturally spread because your vassals will take titles. So sometimes that helps you in just being able to do your de jure. It's getting me closer to the Empire of Mali. I'm currently 3 away, and I'm probably going to attack Gollum there, and I can get Sino here, and so I got 2 easy ones here in just a moment. So I'll probably be able to do the Empire. But some of that was helped by my vassals going and taking land that I didn't have to take. So I just wanted to point that out, that they will do that. They won't ask permission, especially in the tribal government. They will just go take land. So just something to be aware of. All right. I am able to put together the Empire of Mali. So I'm going to show you in this instance how I would do this, and succession is going to play into this, and that's why I want to kind of show it all of this. If I wasn't able to get the Empire of Mali, I wouldn't have been able to do this, but I want to show you that you can set up your kingdom to secede the titles how you want them to go, like where you want them to go. You can set it up so you can think creatively while you don't have complete control to hand everything off to your heir. And I know that gets frustrating for some people, but you can set your heir up better, the one that you're going to be playing with. You can set them up to be in a better place than your other heirs. Okay, so first off, let's go in here. So Kingdom of Mali. Actually, let me show you the succession stuff right now. So succession, one of my sons was killed. I'm not really sure. It said internal injuries, so I'm not sure if he got wounded in battle. It didn't say he did, but he did pass away. And so now I only have 2 sons, and so one is going to get the best titles, and one is going to get other ones. So right now, my second oldest, who's currently 36, my oldest is 42. So, I mean, we're living quite a long time where it actually may go to their grandsons pretty quickly. But as you can see, my second son here, he gets the Kingdom of Ghana right here. He gets Kabu, which is over there. You can see it highlighted right there. And Takur. I hope I'm saying that right. So basically, if you look at it on the titles map, he's getting these 3. So they're going to put them all together and group them together. And then my oldest son is going to get Mali and Jen and Songhai, and then this. That's fine, but we know that one of my most developed counties is right here, so I don't really want to lose that. And I'll say it's better to kind of own in these 4, because there's going to be a lot of battles all along here because we're not going to really take that territory. And if we can keep all of this going to our oldest son, it sets him up to only have to really protect, like you got this one border here, but we know that our vassal's already gone up here. He's kind of putting a buffer in between us and the kingdoms up here. Plus there's a really, it's a you know, a funneled area that you can go through because of the desert, and so it's easier to protect. But over here you've got a long line of different kingdoms, right? You can see like nobody's really stepping out. The kingdom of Kong usually ends up branching out pretty good here. Guinea never really takes off. Aachen starts to form, and Yoruba land definitely happens. House land tends to branch out a bit too over time. And you can kind of see they are, this one is happening a little bit. This one's not really happening. But what I want you to catch is the battles are going to happen down here. And so if you can keep all of your titles kind of away from it, you know, and keep them in these four and hand off these to your other heir, it lets them be in the middle of the fighting so that you don't have to be. It kind of protects you from having to constantly be in battles all the time and wars. So how we're going to do this is, you see we got the succession. He is supposed to get 3 kingdoms, okay? And so we're going to hand off some kingdoms to him that we want him to have. So we're going to give him the kingdom of Gen and the kingdom of Songhai, and I'm going to show you how this works. So first off, let's create the kingdom of Songhai. Actually, this is very important. I almost messed up. So let me just show you this. If you do not get the empire, okay, so if you hand off a title that is equal with yours, so right now I am the king, I have the kingdom of Mali. If I hand off that kingdom of Gen to my son without having a title higher than him, he will have an independent kingdom because he will be equal with me as a king. And so I have to actually create the empire of Mali first. Done. And now when I go in and create the kingdom of Gen in the kingdom of Songhai, I can actually hand it off to him. All right, so let's create this duchy, and I'm going to hand off the kingdom of Gen to him. And you can see now I'm an emperor, so I got a bigger hat. That's basically what happened there. Okay, so he is supposed to get the succession. Let's grant him. I'm going to let this go a little bit, and then I'm going to create the kingdom of Songhai. I can't do it with Gen. Something that I forgot to say is if you're going to create it, you have to own one of these. So I could revoke the title and set this up. I'm not going to do that right now because I just want to show you what can happen. And then I can go further if I need to, but I want to show you what can happen first. All right, so I created the kingdom of Songhai. Right now, he's supposed to get that. Okay. So I do want him owning the stuff more over here. So it's set up for that to happen right now. He's set up to get Songhai and Gen. But I can go ahead and give it to him now. And then I can hand off even parts over here to my son so that he can start developing prestige. So if he starts developing his prestige and getting gold and piety and all of that, it's only setting him up to be a more successful leader when he finally takes over. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to hand it off to my son. We're going to give him the kingdom of Songhai. We're going to also give him Gen because we want him to have that. And now that he's got actual land, we can hand it off to him. We don't want to give him Ghana yet because I'm going to try to take this next one and I'm going to try to give it to him before I die. We'll see. Okay, So now you can see he's over all of that. I lost my steward because it's now his vassal, but I'll just replace him. That's fine. And then from there, it's just, I've set myself up. I've set my sons up. I've set my sons up. He's got the kingdom of Jen. I'm probably going to go ahead and give him the kingdom. Let's see what I can give him here. So I can go ahead and give him Ghana, which I'm going to do because I want him to have Mali and I want him to have Ghana. Okay, so here we go. He's set up now. He's my vassal as the king of Ghana. And then how this plays out here, succession. So now it's giving my second son the kingdom of Kabu, because I handed it, the one I wanted to go to my oldest son, I handed it off to him because I had already given him 2 kingdom titles. I could give a kingdom title away to my oldest son. All right, and I'm still over all of it because I'm an emperor. Now, what I want to do is, so I don't want him to get Kabu over here. I don't want him to get that. I want that to go to my oldest son still. So what I'm going to try to do and see if I can get done before I die is if I can create the kingdom of Gurma, I can hand it off to this son so that my oldest son will get all 4 of these. He'll be the emperor of Mali, and he'll have the 4 titles right next to each other that are in the best place to not have to battle and war against all these nations down here. So that's what I'm trying to do, is set myself up to, when I take over as my son, as a player heir, I'm setting him up for the absolute best starting point that I can. And another thing, while I'm talking about setting yourself up, I've already been educating my grandchildren, okay, specifically in the line of my player heir, okay? Those are the ones you really want to pay attention to, but I've already started setting them up. So I went down the stewardship path with him because I knew he was going to be over a large kingdom. I wanted him to be able to hold a lot of domain titles, and I wanted him to be able to get a maximum amount of taxes because he's going to be over so much. And he probably will be the one, so this Tim Palm Tree life, he probably will be the one that moves us into the feudal government. And when you move into feudal government, you want to have a lot of money coming in. And so I'm trying to set him up to be successful in that. So all of that is in purpose with the succession and thinking long term and setting yourself up for the long term. And just so you can see in the innovations, we need at least 3 more. I got 15 years on this one. I got 30 on this one. And then we'll still have to do 1 more. So we've got a little ways to go before we can get into this feudal era. So just letting you know that. I will probably end this as soon as I pass away, hand it off to my son so you can see what happened, and then I'll probably do 1 more episode for this beginner's guide, and it will be all about moving into the feudal government. So I'll jump back on when my current player passes away. All right, I've been given a decision of consecrating my bloodline. So what happens here is by showing sufficient devotion and gathering the favor of the clergy, I can ensure that my dynasty is forever enshrined as a holy bloodline under divine protection. So our religion's fervor increases by 25. I gain the trait, the Savior, which just means I will be called, that'll be like my nickname is the Savior. Same faith opinion is plus 10. I'm going to gain 60 stress because I'm humble, but I'll just do, like I'll host a feast or something to reduce that stress so that it doesn't come all the way down. So just to show you this, like I need to lose 24 stress so that I don't do that. I'll probably host a feast to do that. Then it gives me 1,000 renown here for my dynasty, and increases their level of splendor by 1. So what happens here is I will go up to, I'll go from insignificant to noteworthy. Okay, it'll raise it by 1, which gives me, if I have insignificant, my children are born with 200 prestige. If you marry into the dynasty, you get 100 prestige, and rulers get a maximum of plus 15 for long reign. If I go to noteworthy, it goes up. All right, so there's more prestige, and you get a maximum bonus, a higher maximum bonus for long reign opinion. So the longer you reign, the better opinion you get. And then also, these are the requirements. I've done that. I'm a religious icon. I've got the holy sites, and I organized my faith. So I get all those things. So I'm going to host a feast, reduce my stress, and then do this. Okay, so you can see I'm back down. I'm down to 36 stress now. So when I take on this 60, I won't have a mental breakdown. And we'll do it. And I am now the savior. So I am the divine right here. So you can see Chief Hogan Tim, the divine of Bedaic High Council. I gain the trait the savior, which adds that. And then I get another dynasty reputation here. And I think we're going to go kin wouldn't be bad down in Africa. I think I'm going to go right here to have natural popular opinion just be better, especially handing it off and you starting getting into the successions and things. It's helpful to have that. My son is heavily a martial guy. He's all about martial, so this will naturally already be in what he's doing. So I think I'm going to help him out by giving him a better opinion, and he'll definitely lose stress as a result of hunting because he's martial, and so I'll make it cheaper for him as well. So that's what we're going to do with that renown. Well, my wife just died. This consistently happens, so I picked up stress. She just died of old age. She was 70, but I had a mental break, so I went over 100 stress. So then I have a choice here to reduce stress, so I can become inapetic, which takes away diplomacy and prowess, and gives me more stress loss, and I lose 21 stress. I can write about my feelings because I'm a journalist. I lose one of everything. And then I can just press on in frozen grief. I lose diplomacy. This one, it's not as bad. I might do this. I mean, how old am I? I'm 66. I'll try writing my feelings down. If I can get a hunt and host a feast and stuff, I might be able to get that down a lot here soon. So manage grief for 5 years, so 922, and I don't pick up a negative trait. I might do that. In that, I will look for another spouse. Now, in looking for another spouse, this will usually say fertile because that's what you usually want is fertile. I'm going to change it to all because I'm almost 70, so I don't care about that. And frankly, I just want somebody with a lot of learning, and I don't really, I mean, I could go Sia, but I don't really want to have a chance of having more children, honestly, because I've already set up my succession. So I'm going to go this route, and why I want a lot of learning, well, it goes down to 6. 5. So I would have to, I think I can get by with just 6. I think I can do that. But the reason why I would add a lot of learning is to promote my culture faster. So this, instead of 8 years, will probably go down. I'm guessing I can get that to 5 or 6 years if I marry her. So I'm going to do that. And let's see. Okay, we married her. We're going to switch this to patronage. Give it a day or two. 7 years. So Only 7. Couldn't quite get it to 6, but took a couple years off just for that. So I already had my kids, already did succession. I'm not looking for like a great spouse. I'm just looking for somebody to get me to death, honestly. So, and because she's a good learner, if I do lose my court physician, I can always have her be my court physician. So we'll see where it goes. Well, I am 72. I am on my 3rd wife. She's 54. And I just wanted to show you this because I have researched every single one of my lifestyle traits, and so I'm going to switch it up since I have all of these, and I'm just going to try something else. So I think I'm going to go into some stewardship, just so if any of the titles come open, I can just go ahead and hold on to them, and then as they get passed down to my player heir, I can decide what to do with them when I realize, like, maybe he doesn't have a good commander or a good chancellor. He can grant one of those titles to them and to set him up for a win. As you build your buildings down here, and you have your tribal buildings being built, and your tribal buildings will be different than your feudal buildings. You don't have to worry about this, though. When you switch to feudal, they will, in a sense, upgrade. We'll walk through that later. But as you do this, I want you to see that if you can upgrade one of these, it's a different color. It's more of that tan or brown color instead of the blue. And then you just come in, you click on the building, you go into construct market villages, and then you just hit upgrade, and it'll upgrade it to the level 2. You can also do this with your tribal hold castles, your tribal hold castles, and your tribal, or when you get to feudal, you can do this with your feudal castles as well. You can do it with your cities. You can upgrade your cities. You can upgrade your temples. Just remember that you can upgrade everything in here, so be aware of that and make sure you do that. I want to take a second to show you the house. So yes, I do own the Empire of Mali, and yes, that house name does spread, but I have married off a lot of my children. So you can see we had 8 children. I've had 2 pass away already. They're dead. But right here, my oldest daughter, she had children, and they actually own land over here. And so our house is still grown over to here, even though I don't directly own those titles. It's still under our house name. So I just wanted to point that out, that even in my lifetime, I was able to marry off and do it matrilineally, so that as they inherited the titles from their parents, they became the owners of those titles, and our dynasty grew. And so in our renown, we're getting more renown because we have more living members, but I also have 2 counts because of those children, and so it's giving me 0.5 more. Just something to be aware of, that you can paint the map with your house and still benefit your current holdings, because the renown that we have is getting us these legacy options, and I've got 3 so far. And so it's benefiting our title holdings because we're getting this as well. But just something to remember, the further you get your house out. So it's not about making your nation color paint the map as much as it's about your dynasty painting the map. Okay, I told you previously on my lifestyle traits in here that I got the trait Know Thyself, which when you're 1 year away from dying of natural causes, it would let you know. I am currently 84, and I just got the notification that told me I'm near death's doorstep. So I turned 85 on January 1st, so I will probably die a week after my 85th birthday, somewhere around there. So 1 year to set up the kingdom. Now I've had basically 85 years to do this. I've already passed off titles to my successors, right? We've already walked through that. If I can get up to 4, if I can get enough prestige to get up to level 4 absolute tribal authority before I die. I want to, because people will not like him right away when he takes over, and it'll allow him to bump it down to 3 and make people like him. It'll give him a little bit of a bump, so that's why I would do that, not necessarily because I need to be at 4. But you can see he's 65 and he's ailing, so in all reality, we're probably not going to play very long as Bowmeester. He probably will be the emperor for a very short amount of time, and then it'll get passed to Tim Palmtree here, who's 35, just because I've lived so long. My son's close to dying as well, so that's just part of handing off the succession. But I am 1 year away. Part of setting up your heir well is within your holdings. I just want to show you this. Within the holdings I have here in my main duchy, I've got all the buildings that I can build. I don't think I can upgrade this at all. Yeah, I can't upgrade that. I have to get to the feudal area to start upgrading that, but I built all the buildings there, almost all of them there, almost all there. But you can see I've set him up to take over with a lot of strength, so that when I hand off, he's going to own these 4 kingdoms. And I also want to show you real quick, I did not create the title of Takru, or however you say that, because if I created it, it was going to give it to my second son in succession. So I just chose not to create it, so that it would land to this son. That's why I did that. I wanted it to land him, and then when he becomes emperor, I can create it and it'll hand off to him. And then he has 2 sons, so if he does die quickly, the kingdoms will get divided out there, so I'll probably quickly have to walk through succession once the empire gets handed off to him. But I wanted to try to quickly go through some of that stuff. I'm going to try to go up to 4 before he dies. We'll see if I can get it done within a year. Okay, I wanted to show you. So my son actually died before I did. So all of his titles that he was going to get passed off to his oldest son. Now, his oldest son shared the current titles with his brother, but because his dad died before his dad could get all the titles are going to pass on the other son. So it's almost like we passed all of the titles that were going to be given. We just passed them all on again. So it actually benefited us that our son died first, but sometimes that happens. You outlive your children. You just got to be aware of it. So it'll just move forward with my grandson, like we thought anyway, and that's why we made him a steward, and that's why we did all that. We thought he would be the guy that would take us into the feudal era, and it's looking more and more that way, because when you look at culture, we're 3 years away from this innovation, we're 6 years away from that innovation, and we only need 2 more. So we're getting really close to being able to pursue our feudal government. I would also say that I've already gone through all of my courtiers, all of my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, anybody I could set up their education, I already did, so that I didn't have to worry about that. Because after I die and it goes to my grandson won't be able to set it up for his cousins. He can only set it up for people that are in his direct line, or if they're vassals of his, he can set it up. But you need more permission for that. So I took care of all that too. And there it is. I have died. I lived to be 86. I got to play as my character for 70 years, but he lived from 867 to 937. He is a pretty amazing ruler. He did a really good job. So now it goes to my grandson. My grandson is currently at war, so I don't know if somebody currently attacked me. I'll have to see how that is. It could have happened. That could have been going on while he was the king of Ghana and I was the emperor of Mali. So we'll continue on. When you continue on, it will stay paused, so it's paused. It'll kind of give you your overview. I now have 4 duchies, so I'm going to have to hand some of these off. My children are not quite ready to be handed off to yet. So I have 2 sons, so I'll have to work through the succession stuff again with my 2 sons, just in preparation. You should be able to see that my vassals are not gonna be super thrilled about me right now. And why is I'm in an offensive war, okay? I have absolute tribal authority, which is because I put this up at 4, but now I can go to 3, and it'll immediately give me 30 back. I also hold too many duchies, so when I pass those off, it will also drop it, okay? So those are all good things. So in my succession, my son is getting Mali, and then my other son gets Ghana and Kabul. Let's see if I create the Kingdom of Tarkru. Now that I've passed on the succession. So now Tarkru and Mali go here, but I actually want to keep Kabul there. And the reason I want to keep that is because they're next to each other. So it's just more natural to flow. I guess I could cut him off. And we could have more children, honestly. So I want to be careful handing these off. But I probably won't give a whole lot of this away yet. I do need to give a duchy away, though. And so because this son is going to get one of these other ones, I'll probably hand off one of those duchies because it doesn't make sense to keep it myself. So that's a development 11. Development 3, so we're going to give this duchy away to somebody. I also need to choose my lifestyle for my grandson. He's naturally a steward, and because he's already been working down the list, he has made it this far. This is this architect is really, really good. That is the right one to go down. I'm glad he went down it. I didn't have control over that before now, but I'm glad he did it. You can reset the perks here if you want to gain stress. But if it's like if it was in a really bad category, I might do that. I don't need to. He went down the right path, so we're going to go stewardship and finish this out. This divided attention is another one of those really good ones. It gives your domain limit +2 automatically just because you click this button. And then a popular figurehead, you get a +50. You're popular just because you click this button. And so different things like that in your lifestyle trees can really help you. Don't forget, so you're basically, when you take over as another player heir, you have to set everything back up like you're starting a fresh game. You're continuing the game, but you have to work through all of the things like you're starting it. So you have to do all of your council. You're gonna have to walk through your court, your prisoners, because what was true about your previous player heir doesn't mean it's true about this player heir. He may have different titles, he may have different vassals. Everything is kind of shifted, and there's different people that don't like you, and so you have to reassess where you're at and kind of go from there. All right, just a really quick rundown of maybe some things to pay attention to when you have your successor. And actually, before I jump in there, I just want to show the Dynasty tree here. So this is our current one, but I wanted to show our previous player heir. This is where he took the family, our dynasty. This is where we went under his reign, and now we're over here. This is where we're going from this place. But just a quick rundown of just some things to pay attention to when you take over. Obviously, I showed you the lifestyle focus, where you're going to go with that. You're going to want to pay attention to, do they currently have any stress? So when we start the game, we start with our player and he doesn't have any stress, but when you're coming in, this guy's been around for 37, 38 years. He could already have stress. He could already have mental breakdowns. He could already have those things. So you need to pay attention to that. Here, view kills, like who has he killed? So he killed this guy, but what it'll tell you is, did he kill other people? Like, did he do murder schemes or something along that lines to make you, it lets you see what he did before you started controlling him, okay? You want to see what kind of character traits he has, okay? You may have been a part of putting that all together, but now we have just, we have craven, and we have greedy. So if I try to give money away, I'm going to take on stress. If I'm unjust, I'm going to take on stress. If I try to be brave, so my previous character, I would normally start, my first character generally, I would start with something like brave. He's craven, so if I continue to act brave, it's actually going to create stress for him, okay? So you need to take note of those things. Another thing you need to take note of is the prestige. Like, what does he have coming in? This gold, this gets passed down through the line. So this 4,900, I was trying to set up my son to start off with a lot of money, because what happens is if he gets attacked, I can at least go in here, go into mercenaries, and I can buy a lot of mercenaries to get out of trouble quickly if I have to. So when you build up your funds here, you're setting them up well. Obviously, I showed you with the buildings. The more you can build up your buildings, you're setting up your future people better. You want to come in here and see, are there things and actions I need to take in here? There's nothing really here outside of maybe the powerful vassals that I need to do, but that's something to pay attention to. You're going to have to set up your court. You may have to hire a court physician. Your intrigue, like, do you have any schemes going? Well, I'm trying to sway this guy. This started before I started controlling him, so he's trying to sway him. Are there any hooks and secrets that I know or that they know against me? You'll want to pay attention to this factions area, because I can guarantee it hasn't happened yet, but we're like 2 days into my reign. You're going to see different vassals pop up in here, and most likely my uncle, who, remember, we handed these kingdoms off to him. He does not like me because he has the ability to go claim the High Kingdom of Mali, the Empire of Mali. So he doesn't like me. He may try to overthrow me to take the throne of the empire. That would show up in this factions tab, and it would show you who can't come after you in a faction. Here's the decisions I have available. So are there certain decisions that I have here that maybe my previous player character did not have? So like our previous guy, he could develop the capital faster because he was diligent. My player's not diligent, and so he doesn't have that decision. It could have gone in reverse, though, where my previous guy didn't have it, and now I have it, and I could have gone there. You're going to want to pay attention to what are the tasks doing, the counselor tasks. So he's developing here. That's fine. We're at 13. He's trying to make people inside of my kingdom happy, which is exactly what I want. And then she's just giving me more piety. But this will let you know quickly what's going on with my counselors. All right. The other place to look is in here. How many champions do you have? So my previous ruler had 19 because of just the different things about him gave me 19. This guy only has 14. That's something to pay attention to. If this guy previously sets up men-at-arms, he brings them with him and they would go in here. So that's why we probably have like 2 bowmen here, and we have 2 Sahel horsemen, and it's probably because he already had some of those, and so it brought it in here with him into the men-at-arms. So those are things to pay attention to, and I actually already did this, but I went through my courtiers and I made sure all the kids are being educated, and I made sure everybody was married that should be married to keep having courtiers and keep developing the Seninke culture, and have a lot of really good traded people to move into my council. So just some things to pay attention to. You can also run down your vassal list and just kind of get an idea who likes me, who hates me, how in trouble am I. And right here, if you see them showing up in factions, okay, so if they're showing up in here, you could right click here and do this, but we don't have any there right now. So like you could right click right here, or you could bring them up and you could choose send a gift. Once again, why you want gold up here, you could do send a gift. And if I send 44 gold to this guy, he'll get 29 opinions. So he'll be almost 0 just because I gave him money. Now it'll cause stress for me because I'm greedy, so that didn't set me up well. But otherwise, I'm doing okay with that. So all those things are really important when you're taking over as a new player heir. And then also if there's wars, which we are in a war, I'm going to have to go up here and I'm going to have to defeat these guys, and hopefully I can defeat them before more people try to overthrow me. I'm going to let this play out a little bit before I end, and if I can kind of get myself established, I'm going to end the episode at that point, and then we'll move forward to moving to feudal government in our next episode. All right, so this is what I'm talking about. My spy master has uncovered a vicious scheme by my brother-in-law against me as agents are being rounded up as I write this, but although Sakura has been foiled for now, he remains a threat to the future unless we take action, that is. So it ends his scheme to claim the throne against me. So you're going to see this a lot when you initially take the throne. You're going to have to make it through that early point so that people don't overthrow you. You got to push through. You got to find creative ways to keep going. And if they do overthrow you, keep playing and try to take it back. You still got claims on it, and so try to take it back. And you may have to do some scheming and stuff, but you can figure out how to make that happen. All right, I think that's where we're going to end this episode. I'm still finishing up this war, but we'll get it taken off by next time. I am getting very, very close to being able to adopt feudalism, and so next time we will walk through feudalism and how to set yourself up to do it successfully, and then what to pay attention for on the other side, and the building changes that are made. We'll look at some of those things as we move forward, and then we'll probably have to look at feudal contracts and things like that. But we'll spend some time on all of that at our next episode. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope it's helping you. If you would like, subscribe, that would help me out. It would also just let you know when something else is up so that you can continue to learn more about Crusader Kings 3. See you next time.